invest in our kids more appropriately and still provide transparency in a more fiscally responsible fashion. As far as technology goes, I think there's a rush to technology. I think people want to pat themselves on the back and take credit for putting iPads in the classroom. We need to focus on the fundamentals of reading and writing. Okay, I read a story about education in Japan. Japan is often lauded as having one of the superior education systems, a very technology-driven culture, but they purposely do not have technology in the classroom. They focus on the fundamentals of reading and writing. And I think we have to make sure that we're keeping our eye on the ball and focusing on the core principles of teaching rather than having flashy, expensive toys in the classroom. I also will make another comment, is that board member Kimberly Beatty brought up a very good suggestion of having a citizen technology review committee to get input from the community on the implementation of technology in the classroom. And sadly, her suggestion was shot down by the rest of the board.
Sometimes it sounds and sometimes it doesn't.
It's okay, I'm watching for the ring. Ms. Beatty's proposal was not actually completely, that's not a complete statement that Mr. Riley just said. Her proposal was for a board-directed citizens committee. A committee of the superintendent is actually being put together and working diligently with staff as is appropriate to explore what makes sense for our use of technology and what doesn't. And that is actually happening today. It's moving forward. You know, it's easy to say school should be like it was when we were in school. We're all experts because we all went to school. But the reality is the world is different. And the reality in 20 years or 30 years from now is going to be very different and unimaginable to us sitting here in our seats today. Now, I invite anyone to come in and visit some of our schools. If you think that we put iPads in the hands of students and the teachers walk away and have a coffee break and say, kids have fun, that's not what happened. That is not what is happening. The use of technology is very appropriate to the age in which that technology is being used. We've been working with technology in pilot projects for more than 6 or 7 years. We know quite a bit about what works and what doesn't work. And I think it's important for us to consolidate that learning both from inside our district and from outside our district to provide our students with the best opportunity to learn and be ready for their future, not our past. Thank you.
If you took the aggregate experience on this topic of technology in the classroom of all of us on the stage, and then compared it and excluded Todd Gutschow, Todd's experience in this area far surpasses all of us combined. His leadership in this area in our district and in his participation with Classroom of the Future Foundation and other areas is remarkable, and he brings that experience and skill set back to our district to help us do better with our technology. With that said, you have to understand that there is an educational industrial complex that wants us to stay in paper and products. All of these printers, all these people that make textbooks have huge factories and huge costs that they've built to produce books and sell you books and widgets that go with them. And if we move to a digital environment, all of their stuff becomes obsolete. It now becomes, they now have that in real time that can be increased and improved. I can see you don't like that, but that's okay. And so we just have to recognize that we use technology to enhance our learning, but not to reduce the other things that we do. For example, we use map testing in our district. Map testing, for those of you who don't have kids in our district, is a way that individual kids can be tested and we can identify their individual weaknesses in various types of math and reading and other things. And then the teacher can personalize the learning for that one child based on that test. That's something you can't do with other methodologies. I'll stop talking.
Where's Robert?
I think there's a time and a place for technology. I agree with Mr. Gutschow. 20 years from now, the world is going to look entirely different than it does now. But I also don't want to get rid of the roots of education. And that means you have a chalkboard or a whiteboard in the room. All the kids get to go up to it. Everybody gets to write, show off their handwriting. And everybody gets to learn the same way, but different too. The technology can bring that difference into the classroom. It can customized for each child if need be. And I think that that's the type of technology that we need. But, you know, what happened to playing outside and learning through teamwork, learning your collaborativeness that way? What happened to some of the things that, yeah, I know we're old up here, we learned a little bit different, not talking myself. But there are some things that our children can learn from what we did as children too.
All right, now we're going to have closing statements. 2 minutes per candidate. Where do we start? How do we decide where we start? Do we start from that end and come this way this time?
Again? 2 in a row?
You didn't get my question.
I'm sorry, we just ran out of time.
Yeah, we ran out of time.
Sorry.
I know what it was though.
No.
Oh, no.
I bet they'll let you ask them afterwards.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I'd like to thank the Community Council, Rancho Bernardo Community Council, and the Penasquitas Town Council for having us here. Once again, Katie Newbanks, running for Poway School District Board. I want to be here for the kids. I want to invest in our kids, invest in our future. I want to make sure that the money gets to the classrooms where the teacher can utilize it, where the kids can benefit from it. I believe that we need to have that for our children to survive in the real world, whether they go to college, whether they don't, they still need to be well-rounded individuals. And this is more than just the test scores, which are great, but it comes down to having the extracurricular activities, band, speech and debate, the arts. These are all things that I think we're lacking in, especially our elementary and our junior highs, and we need to get them back. And that's what I'd like to do. I'd really like to work to get these things back to our kids that deserve them.
Again, thanks to Robin, Melinda, and Allison. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, all of you here. I know it's really hard to get out on a weekday night to come and watch 8 people talk about what they want to do with the school district, but I really thank you all for participating and being active voters. Again, I want to tell you that about my financial background, over 20 years in corporate finance. One of my main reasons for being here is that $1 billion bond. The other one is locally controlled funding formula and Common Core. Those are the 3 things that are driving me to run Poway Unified School District, and they're very big things for every single homeowner and parent in this community. My name is Jeannie Fulbrod, and I hope you vote for me on November 4th. Thank you.
Before giving my closing remark, I want to just comment on a couple of things that were said that aren't correct. The first is cabs are not illegal. They simply, the term of them, you can't have 40-year cabs now. It's shortened to 25 years, but they're not illegal. Number 2, our Melrose taxes are not skimmed from our taxpayers. They are honestly used. We follow the law. We audit our Melrose districts every year, and we run an ethical, clean ship, top to bottom. And number 3, most of you don't know that we've refinanced hundreds of millions of dollars during this era of low interest rates and saved our taxpayers gobs of money. But all we hear about is cap, cap, cap. Now, with that said, when you run for a school board and you're not on the board, you have to either kick the teeth of the guys that are here, or you have to try to get some endorsements or some support which pushes people towards you. And I hope that we'll talk about that. My endorsements, as a member of the board, I have my record that I run on, and I'm proud of that record. My endorsements include the Poway Federation of Teachers, retired principals like Scott Fisher, who was in our district for 23 years at Poway High School and at Mount Carmel, retired superintendents from our county who know the quality we have here, like Kevin Ogden from the Julian School District, and Larry Perandi from the Oceanside School District, who just retired. Dr. Paula Cordera, who is the Dean of the School of Education at USD, has endorsed me for re-election. Ernie Dronenberg, the county assessor, has endorsed me for re-election. Senator Joel Anderson has endorsed me for re-election. Even the Lincoln Club the other day endorsed me for re-election. These are Democrats, Republicans, independents, specialists in education, business leaders, etc. And it's not because I'm good looking and I'm smooth speaking. They know we have a great district, and my skill set is helping our district to move forward and keeping our focus on kids. Our focus needs to be on what is best for our kids. And I'm proud of the work that I've done and hope you'll re-elect Mark Davis. Why, thank you.
Well, Mark kind of stole my speech. I guess that's the problem when you're kind of in the middle, or maybe when you're at the end. As I said earlier, as an incumbent, I deserve to be judged based on my record. I've served for 8 years. I've made hundreds and hundreds of decisions for this district, always with a focus on and always thinking about what's best for our kids. And in the process, I'm sure I've angered lots of people over lots of decisions. Nobody ever loves every decision you make. And cabs are not just the only example. There are many others. But I think that's kind of the role of the school board. That's what we are elected to do. We're elected by the citizens to make decisions on your behalf to move this district forward with one single focus, producing the very best educational system for our kids. That's what we're about. That is the mission of this district. And I believe I've done that mission very, very well. But I'm concerned right now. Now is a time of significant change in public education. Jeannie mentioned a couple of those issues, Common Core. How well we implement Common Core over the next few years is extremely important. I think we can do a great job. We're doing a good job right now, and we can do a lot better, and I think we will. I think we have the expertise and the staff to do that. The budgetary situation with the local control funding formula is another very serious change. We have a new accountability system coming from the state that hasn't even been defined yet, and yet they're going to hold us accountable to it. We have teacher evaluation systems coming down the pipeline, which are going to change the relationship potentially between, or at least change the conversation between districts and the district and teachers. So there's a lot of change happening. I believe I have the knowledge and expertise to help guide the district through that. And I will tell you, leadership does matter. Please vote for me, Todd Gutchow, on November 4th.
Thank you very much to everybody that took the time out of your busy evening to be here and to listen to the 8 of us. We all have a wide range of opinions and views on how to best work with our school district and improve what's happening in our community. My campaign is all about investing in kids and protecting taxpayers. I believe that our school board is not really fulfilling that to the best degree. You have a choice this November. You can choose to go with the incumbents who delivered to us a $1 billion bond that made our community a national embarrassment in the national financial press. Or you can go with a candidate like myself that supports fiscal responsibility, that wants to bring the community in to have full budget review and get input from all of our citizens about how our money is spent. You can go with our incumbents and choose them if you wish, that went with Mello-Roos taxes, and according to KPBS and an in-depth study that they did, yes, Mello-Roos taxes are being siphoned off from those communities and being used to build district headquarters in Carmel Mountain Ranch outside of the Mello-Roos district. That's a fundamental violation of what Mello-Roos represents. Or you can go with me that will protect the interests of Mello-Roos taxpayers, that will build a ring fence around each Mello-Roos community, and if surplus money is there, we will use it to reinvest in that district and potentially pay down those bonds more aggressively, or maybe even invest in the schools that are currently overcrowded in the Forest Ranch community. You can go with our incumbents that presented a capital appreciation bond community review that intentionally dumbed down the presentation and thwarted transparency by hiding necessary data that the community was hungry for. Or you can go with a candidate like myself that will open the books in a fully transparent process. My name is John Riley. I hope to earn your vote. My campaign is about investing in kids and protecting taxpayers.
I want to thank everyone for coming and for the folks who put this on. It's a critical part of our democracy. I think you have an incredibly stark choice choice facing you on November 4th. But it's also, I think, incredibly simple, which is you can continue with the way that we've gone. I was a little troubled by Mr. Davis's comment about the 25-year cap. It makes it sound like he would actually consider doing another one, which I think we should all ask him about because that's the first I've heard it. But if you think the incumbents have done a great job, they've earned your trust, they've been good stewards of the public needs, then go ahead and re-elect them. I believe that. And you might as well elect TJ with them because he basically refuses to criticize anything they've done. And he has pretty well aligned himself with them through the teacher's endorsement and everything else. The one thing they don't mention in this aura of labor peace that they put forward is there's 2 other unions in this district that represent more than half of the employees. Those 2 unions have endorsed the 3 of us. They want these incumbents to go. And that's why I'm running, because they feel very strongly that that needs to happen in order for there to be more balance, more accountability, more transparency, and more fiscal responsibility in the operation of this district. So I think the teachers are great. They do a wonderful job. They're not the only people who work here. They're not the only people who service our children. And so I think it's very important that you consider all aspects when you're doing that. And I think that, once again, I'll reiterate it. If you think that the incumbents have done a wonderful job, you don't feel they've made a fatal mistake, go ahead and elect them. Go ahead and elect the PFT slate. Otherwise, please consider us and myself particularly, since we are all running independently, because I think that it's time for a change at the top. We need new blood, and we need a change in leadership, and not just who leads, but how they lead.
You don't get in trouble for going that way.
I'm Michelle O'Connor Ratcliffe. I've been hoping I had a imaginary name tag up here all night, but I'm Michelle O'Connor Ratcliffe. I want to thank everyone for being here and for listening and for caring enough to stay until the bitter end here. We all know that our district has great teachers and staff. We've got smart kids, really involved parents, engaged community members, and so we have great schools here. And if we can succeed in this district in spite of all the problems on the current board, think what we could do if those problems were solved. I have a specific vision for that, a plan for fixing that, with A, accountability, C, communication, and T, transparency. I will act to bring our community into this process more, where they belong, so we can do the best for our kids. I bring relevant experience and skills to the future that we want to create here, my grassroots communication, my community leadership on the town council and at the schools, and my legal experience. I can tell definitely I'm going to have to do a tutorial on special education and respectful language for everybody. This is important. This is something that is unique to me, of the candidates, and it's important. Again, I provide the skill set, I think, to bring some positive change to our district. I think all the candidates up here have heard me say this before, they can probably quote it too, but my favorite quote, Neil Postman wrote, "Children are the living messages we send to a time we will not see." I think it's very important to make sure we're taking care of these messages we're sending. This is for our kids, so there are no excuses. I can't do this without all of you, so I hope you've given me some reason to believe in my vision and in my ability to make it happen. If you'd like to hear more, please join my email list, check out my website, my Facebook page. I will pit my endorsements against Mark's anytime. Check them out. They're a very diverse group as well. I'm Michelle O'Connor Ratcliffe. I'd appreciate your vote.
Well, going last up to 2 hours is a very difficult situation to be in. I will try not to use my entire 2 minutes. But I will say, for clarification, I've expressed my outrage at the cab issue. I do think that that was a big mistake of the current board. But I also believe that everybody has positive attributes that still qualifies everybody up here to serve on the board, even Charles. And so I would look forward to the opportunity to work with Charles or any other 2 candidates get selected to the board. My name is TJ Zane. I'm a parent. I have a son in the district and a son and a daughter who will be in the district in one a shorter time than the other. I believe in retaining quality teachers, ensuring fiscal sustainability of the district, and maintaining Poway Unified's local standards for education. I'd ask for your support for my candidacy on November 4th, TJ Zane. TJZane.com. Thank you.
Well done. How about a round of